afternoon, distinguished shareholders. Good afternoon, distinguished shareholders. I welcome you all to the statutory meeting of your company, Access Holdings PLC, trading as the Access Corporation. My name is Baba Bode Oshunkoya, Chairman. Thank you. In good time, in good time. Thank you. I now declare the meeting open and call on Pastor Gbenga Idowu to kindly lead us in an opening prayer.
May I indulge every one of us to keep us standing? Our Father and our God, we bless your holy name. We thank you. We thank you for this day, because the day you have made, and we are happy and we are rejoicing in it. We particularly come here to celebrate Access Bank Holding PLC. We thank you for the chairman, the board, management, and staff of this company. They are doing Nigeria proud all over the world. Wherever Access is mentioned, nobody needs to know which country they come from. They know it's Nigeria. Thank you. We thank you for the wisdom you are giving the chairman, the board, and management to steer the chief of this company. Thank you for what they are doing. What they are doing today is another new one in the annals of this country, statutory meeting. Thank you. We are praying for you to give them wisdom to begin to go from strength to strength and expand. Father, grant them long life, grant them peace, grant them good health and legacy to surpass what they made in the annals of this country. Thank you for this. We ask in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to call on the registrar, represented by Funke Ayola, to confirm that the necessary quorum for this meeting has been met.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the High Table, and our esteemed shareholders. My name is Funke Ayola, and I represent Coronation Registrars Limited, the registrar to Access Holdings PLC. The articles of the corporation prescribes the quorum for this meeting as members physically present, not less than one, and holding or representing by proxy not less than 1/10 of the issued capital of the corporation. I hereby confirm that at the start of this meeting, we have 142 members physically present and 92 members represented by proxies, with a total of 9,013,595,029 shareholding, representing 25.35% of the corporation's issued capital. With this information, we hereby confirm that a quorum has been formed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we start on the formal agenda for the meeting, I would like to briefly introduce other officers of the board present here, starting from my right, which is your left extreme. We have Ms. Bolaji Agbede, Executive Director. Mr. Abubakar Jimo, Independent Non-Executive Director. And we have, of course, the Group Managing Director, Dr. Herbert Wigwe. To my left, to your right, starting from the extreme, we have Mr. Sheyi Kumakpai, Non-Executive Director. And we have Mrs. Ojinika Olahere, Non-Executive Director. We're still expecting Mr. Larry Bamishebi. And to my left, immediate left, is the Company Secretary, Mr. Sonny Ekochi. We received apologies from Mr. Shegun Ogbonewo, Mrs. Fatima Bello Ismail, and Mr. Roosevelt Ogbonna, who are unavoidably absent, but they are joining us online streaming. We also have here represented this afternoon the Central Bank of Nigeria, represented by Cynthia Onyekachukwu Max Nkendirim. Thank you. Adenike Efukumbi Show Silva. You're welcome. The Securities and Exchange Commission, represented by Mr. Abu Ibrahim. NGX Regulations Limited, represented by Ms. Brenda Duke. The Corporations Registrar, Coronations Registrars Limited, represented by Funke Ayola, who you've heard. The Corporation's Auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, represented by Ms. Chidi Ojechi. The Corporation's Audit Committee, represented by Mr. Henry Omashola Araho, Mr. Olutoyin Eleoramo, and Mr. Idare Gogo Ogan. May I inform all present that roving microphones are available for use. When you are called upon to speak, one of the ushers will hand you a microphone. I will request that you please speak clearly into the microphone. You should please start by stating your names. I would also like to inform members that the register of shareholders is available for inspection during the meeting. I will now call upon the Secretary to read the notice of the meeting on page 4 of the statutory report.
I hereby take the notice on page 4 of the statutory report. Notice is hereby given that in line with the provisions of Section 235 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, a statutory meeting of the shareholders of Access Holdings PLC, trading as Access Corporation, we hold at Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, 6 to 8 Amadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos, on November 29, 2022, at 12 noon, to transact the following businesses: to consider and adopt the statutory report, to disclose the corporation's register of members, which will be produced at the commencement of the statutory meeting and remain open for inspection throughout the meeting. Proxy: a member entitled to attend and vote at the statutory meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his stead. A proxy need not also be a member. A proxy form is attached to the notice and is valid for the purpose of the meeting. All instruments of proxy should be duly stamped at the Stamp Duties Office and deposited at the Office of the Registrar, Coronation Registrars Limited, Plot 9, Amadu Ojikutu Street, off Sakatinubu Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, not later than 48 hours prior to the time of the meeting. Note that the payment of stamp duties for all the instruments of proxy shall be at the corporation's expense. In the case of joint shareholders, the signature of any one of them will suffice, but the names of all the joint shareholders must be stated. If the shareholder is a company, the proxy form must be under the common seal or under the hands of the same officer or attorney duly authorized by the company to act on his behalf. This notice is dated the 4th day of November 2022, by the order of the board, is signed by Company Secretary Sunday Ochi. Regarding notes, the e-statutory report, the electronic version of the statutory report is available at the corporation's website. Shareholders who have provided their emails will receive the electronic version of the statutory report via email. Additionally, shareholders who are interested in receiving the electronic version of the statutory report may request through the email provided in this notice. Website. A copy of the notice and other relevant information concerning the meeting can be found at the corporation's website. The live streaming. The statutory meeting will be streamed live to enable shareholders who are unable to physically attend to follow the proceedings online. A link for the live streaming will be available on Access Corporation's website and the registrar's website also. Questions from shareholders. In line with Section 2358 of the CAMA 2020, shareholders present at their statutory meeting may discuss any matter relating to the formation of the corporation, its commencement or business arising out of the statutory report. Please send your questions and comments and observations to the Company Secretariat of Access Corporation as provided, the details of which is provided in this report. Resolution to be passed at the statutory meeting. In accordance with Section 2359 of CAMA 2020, any shareholder who wishes for a resolution to be passed on any matter arising out of the statutory report shall give further 21 days notice from the date on which the statutory report was received to the corporation of its intention to propose such a resolution. In this case, the statutory meeting shall not be held until the expiration of 21 days notice given by the corporation to the corporation by the shareholder. Adjournment of meeting. In accordance with Section 23510 of CAMA 2020, the statutory meeting may be adjourned, and at any adjourned meeting, any resolution of which notice has been given in accordance with the Articles of Association, either before or subsequent to the former meeting, may be passed, and the adjourned meeting shall have the same power as the original meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have now come to the first item on the agenda, which is to consider and adopt the statutory reports of the corporation. Before we proceed, I would like to correct a typographical error on the second table of page 3 of the report. The expression 2022 court-ordered meeting should read 2021 court-ordered meeting. The typo is regretted. Each of you should have a copy of the corporation's statutory report, either by email or print version, or both. With your permission, I would like to take it as read. Thank you. I now lay before you the statutory report of the corporation sent to all shareholders as required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Before moving to the next item on the agenda, are there any questions and comments on the statutory report? If there are, please remember to give your names and make use of the microphones. Mr. Boniface, please.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, regulatory authorities hereby represented, my colleague shareholders. The name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Yomojola, the National Coordinator, Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria. It delights me to be here today in our company's statutory meeting. I want to appreciate the efforts of the board and management in taking our company to this height. A lot has been done, especially these past 3 years, where we are not privileged to see ourselves publicly like this. We know what we have gone through the virtual meetings, Notwithstanding this, the board and management and staff have made strenuous efforts to make sure that the growth trajectory continue within the group of companies, and I will ask all shareholders to please clap for them. While appreciating the efforts of the board and management, we see the growth in our company. We see that we have moved from Asset Bank PLC to Asset Holding PLC, which emphasizes we having sub-units, that is, in terms of subsidiaries. What we need to see now is the work of those subsidiaries trying to support the group. And I'm sure now that we've started having an open meeting, the next report we are going to have next year's AGM will definitely bring forth the details of those performances, which I'm sure is going to be commendable. Again, I commend the efforts of the board and management in the growth trajectory where Access Bank has almost, Asset Holding has almost taken over the countries in Africa and some other places in Europe. This we want you to continue while you are using maturity to control our expenses, because we know it's not easy to grow the way we are growing without having a sizable level of expenses. These expenses, we want you to be very mindful, because the more you spend, the less is retained for the shareholders. While we are appreciating the growth, we also, on this side, want to have a share of the benefits of expansion. Having said this, I want to appreciate the meeting, the opportunity you are giving us today, the first of all the banks to give us the opportunity of having an open meeting where all the efforts of the bank the past 2-3 years are being put together so that we come and ratify. Thank you very much. I wish you all small growth.
The chairman of the board, the directors here present, my fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Patrick Ajudua. I say good afternoon to all. Mr. Chairman, we are very delighted at the first statutory meeting that we are having. First, I want to place it on record of our appreciation for the professional and competence we have seen in the company secretary you have. That Access Bank is the bank that is holding the first statutory meeting in becoming an holding company. And this is as stated in section 238 of the Companies and Other Matters Act as amended. So we applaud you because you have laid a milestone for others to follow when they become an holding company. The second one is to appreciate the interim dividend you have declared for us so far, 20 kobo at the beginning. We are very appreciative of this, and we know, Mr. Chairman, you'll be telling us what is in the offing, whether we are going to climb to 1 naira at the end of the financial year. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, is also to employ you and management to look at costs, as they have said before. When you check page 3, you see the preliminary expenses running to almost 1 billion. You know, and this is one of the areas we are crying that government have to look at. Particularly when you see CAC saying they will cancel on issue share. This is because government want to make money. There is no hidden thing again about it. So when you come to raise capital, it is very high. So we are calling on them to look at it, because if it's high, then it will go down in eating our dividend. So we employ you that going forward, we look at our costs, and also I'll be asking the GMD of the holding company to please give more highlights on the new subsidiary company called Hydrogen Payment System. Most of us are interested to know what you have, and most of us are interested to know what is all about this company. I pray that
very happy with the way the bank is being managed. Mr. Chairman, I also want to say that Herbert today has become a household name. We see him, we see his contribution toward the economy, and this is giving us, as Access Bank shareholders, a very good image. Recently, I read in the papers that he was among the few leaders we have in the country who are interacting to ensure that we have stability in the polity of this country. Herbert, you are our leaders. I saw Aliko Dangote with you, with Elumelu, with Obia. So you are the leaders of the industry. You must help us to ensure that we have a free and fair election and we don't have any rancor killings. We need a peaceful election and we need a peaceful country. And you have a role to play. I'm not saying that you are going to be political, but you have a role to ensure that our investment is protected. If there is no peace in the country, you will not be able to make profit for us. Government will not earn any revenue, and our staff will be in danger. So I thank you for your leadership, and I want you to continue with what you are doing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board, my fellow distinguished shareholders, my name is Mrs. Oludewa Thorpe, National Secretary of the National Coordinating Committee of Shareholders Association. Mr. Chairman, this is the first open meeting that we are having after COVID. And I must say that we are very happy, just like my colleagues have expressed the sentiment. I associate myself with them. We are very happy that for once we are here. You have opened the door, not only because of this, for you to be at this meeting, for us to be able to meet our old friends that we have missed because of the restriction of COVID. So just as I welcome this meeting holding today, I also welcome our friends here today. I thank God that we have moved away from the COVID era, and by the grace of God, we shall not go back. COVID is still ravaging China. It will continue to ravage them because they brought it, but we shall be free in the mighty name of Jesus. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I associate with myself with what my colleagues have said. Your bank, our bank, I would certainly say that it's about the biggest. It's about the biggest now. And we are living up to expectation. I beg of you to continue in the work that you are doing so that we'll not begin to go down. Because when an empire becomes big, the next thing is that it begins to look, overconfidence makes it to begin to come down. So please, with this large empire that we have, now that we are a corporation, we want to be able to see that we continue to move forward. Bigger and bigger dividend payments is what we are looking forward to. I congratulate our bank. I congratulate our MD. We are seeing his name everywhere, and we are seeing him associating with all. Please continue the good work. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, Regulatory Authority here present, my co-shareholders, good afternoon. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari. I'm the National Coordinator of Pragmatic Shareholders Association of Nigeria. First and foremost, Mr. Chairman, I want to join my colleagues in congratulating our company. I have to congratulate the entire board, management, and staff of Access Holdings PLC for the excellent work, being proactive for the board of Access Holdings PLC. They have done very well. Please let us appreciate them. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I want to join my colleagues in thanking our bank. Before we became Access Holdings PLC, you gave us 70 kobo dividend, and it did not end there. Without no AGM, no meeting, nothing, you still feel it worthy to give us interim dividend of 20 kobo. Please let us appreciate them for that. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I just have only one question. And my question is, I noticed that we have about 6 or 7 subsidiaries. I want to ask, what is going to happen to our subsidiaries? Are we going to consolidate them into Access Holding PLC? Because the reason why I'm asking this question, I've seen our first quarter. I can see that our subsidiary is not corporate there. That's why I'm asking this question. So I want to know if the 6 or 7 subsidiary is going to be consolidated into the new OCO, or we are going to dispose some of the subsidiary. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Sir Sonny Nwosu, Emeritus Leader of Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, just pardon me, this time around, it is the dictate of the body that controls me now. Yes. Mr. Chairman, I got confused when I entered here. I am looking for the light complexion lady, because in today's paper, it was reported she was giving an award to somebody as chairman of Access Corporation. And on getting here, I'm seeing a dark complexion man. So I think there is difference between dark and light. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, I want to appreciate my junior brother there, Herbert, but I don't like the way he's looking. It means either government or Access is overusing him. So he needs to take it easy, because you cannot open a newspaper one day without seeing his baby's face, but now it's not showing the baby's face. So, Sonny, you people should relax him, please. It is very necessary. I'm taking myself as an example, jumping here and there, but now nobody asked me to sit down. I'm sitting down. So please, we have to be very, very careful about this body. And I appreciate Access Corporation for taking the lead. What you have done here under the newcomer, others will have to follow, but we're at least the first to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we also had Mrs. Top when she said we are seeing ourselves. We are happy that CAC has come clearly to say no more prosy meeting, all other meetings, but then giving us that opportunity to gather en masse here, we also have to be very careful about our behavior. It's very, very important that we behave well so that it cannot ride on that to checkmate us. And I want to take the language of Herbert, who says, I cannot challenge my regulators. Whatever happens, he is always saying it aloud, I cannot challenge my regulators. So it is only shareholders that check regulators, and will continue to check regulators. Today, I believe in my work in that Access Bank is having the biggest assets in all the banks in this country today. So, to whom much is given, much is expected, and again, When we get to that top, we have to be very careful because the man who is short will want to approach the tall man anytime. So we have to be very, very careful and ensure that we do this the way it is regulated so that we don't waste money in paying penalties and all of that things. It's very important. Well, I am very sure that my fellow shareholders will join me in acknowledging Access Corporation in every aspect, despite the small dividend, interim dividend they paid, but I'm sure they are learning. And the CFO is there looking at me. Despite your bald head, you must make sure we raise enough money to ensure that good dividend is paid. Because when you are leading, you must lead in everything. Both in dividend, let others be chasing you, pursuing you. Because we have the access to back up whatever dividend we are paying. So today is a blessed day for Nigerian shareholders. Please let us put our hands together for all the directors of. Yeah. So, forward, how do they? Forward ever, backward never for Access Bank. So, we are seeing all our old friends, Yabeji, I'm seeing you, and all others. So, Herbert, well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
So, what are we expecting after this accolade that we are giving you? What are we expecting? You have to tell us what we are expecting. It is very important for us to know what we are expecting and start like a former leader of shareholders, Alhaji Garuba. He will say, I am putting the water on the fire to await the dividend so that I can make my gari. So it is important that we know what we're expecting so that we know the size of water that we put on fire to await the dividend, the family water. So, like I said, I am no longer allowed by my body to talk too much, but I'm very happy being in your midst here today. I wish you all best of luck. Happy Christmas and prosperous New Year in advance.
Amen.
Thank you very much, and God bless all of us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. For time and progress, we'll just take one more question.
Just one more.
One.
Mr. Chairman of Access Corporation PLC, our distinguished directors, and our group GMD, Dr. Herbert Wigwe, a humble man with your humility. And that's the only man who came into the hall, even when the chairman was changing pleasantries with the shareholders. And he openly said, pardon me, I cannot come down because I have back pain. We have some leaders who are sick. They will never disclose their illness to us. The man did not hide it. He said, please pardon me. I cannot stand now to come and greet. I have back pain. And the Lord will heal you and turn that back pain to disappear in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
That's why my elder brother said, you must take it easy. It's really telling on you because even if you're abroad, and that's one thing with Herbert. And I thank God to that we have a crowd here to meet physically. Even when you called him to ask, how are you faring? He said, Bonnie, it's tough, but what can we do? We must do the job you assigned us to do. That's a man for you. Despite his high echelon, Herbert will take your call and return that message. I don't know. I tell you, say, I'm not seeing clearly because my phone got it and that. Who is this? Herbert, God will strengthen you because you have made a landmark in African continent to showcase Access Group, the bank. But my question today, the researchers say that currently Access Bank should be trading at 20 naira, but today it's less than 9 naira. What is the problem? Is it because the investors have not seen the potential that is in Access Group, that our share price is below par? That 8 naira is unacceptable. Based on investments we have made, acquisitions we have made, both in the banking industry, our subsidiary, should be able to give us a leverage to be on top, even at surpass those
who are share price trading at 20 naira and above. Access should be in that league. Notwithstanding the dividend, because we have made a lot of investments that will guarantee steady flow of higher dividend. And I'm not speaking for the board, but I know what they're capable of doing. If they want to remain the number one in Africa, that means they have to pay higher dividend to shareholders. This is the first of its kind for a meeting. Even as explanatory, somebody alluded to, cost of doing business in Nigeria is still high, relatively high. And this is why these people are depreciating in health, because they want to meet the mind of investors. Mr. Chairman, we have known you for long, right from the insurance to this place today. That means Access Bank are still, group are still going to relations, which is key in business. People who are matters, who are contributing one way or the other, and they have to call them to come and contribute. Mr. Chairman, and I know you are coming here today, is make sure that Asset Holding PLC will give us a higher and higher appreciation in equity. You're capable of doing that because we are made. My question is today, all the subsidiaries are cooperated in one holding company. Which other areas are we also looking at that we are not going to put more pressure on the bank, our subsidiary, to contributing this larger bottom in a pot? We are going to share. Which other are we growing? Because I've read sometime you have made acquisition of pension funds. In IT technology, are we also selling to other banks who don't have it? Are we also putting much money there to deploy to other companies who cannot be able to have this IT? Because every business today is driven on IT. So these are areas I'm looking at, that even to compete with the MTNs of this world, or the Airtels of this world, or Globe of this world, that will have those technology deployed to them, even to communication center. The Access Group can also do that, you know. I want to commend this company, that I want to know more business we are backing upon that will help to give us growth we're expecting. I want to commend the company secretary. Mr. Chairman, it's good to a legal advisor to give advice and the board to make use of it. That means our board is a listening board. You can say, this small boy, give him such advice. It have looked at the whole corporation that came up as a holding company. We have not seen the statutory meetings to tell us how would motorfood into this company. This is interaction today that we are doing, a follow-up. We are not having care to approve dividend, approve any resources. Except one item to show us, since we come on board as a holding company, this is how far we have fared. This is where we are, and this is where we are going to. I want to applaud the board, the management, for showing this commitment. I think the regulators are learning on this meeting we're having today. Because this is an area, regulators should hold other companies accountable. Have you done this? Have you done that? Not penalty all the time. If companies are doing these things, regulators need to wake up from their slumber because they are sleeping. I want to commend Asset Holding PLC for this great company. God bless all of us, and God bless entire shareholders.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately for time, we will need to put a stop to the questions.
You have to make progress.
Please, let's make progress. I'd want to thank all the 7 speakers for their insightful and deep questions. As you have given us accolades as a board, I think we can return the accolades to you that we have the right kind of shareholders. Thank you for your questions, and I hope that we'll be able to answer all to your satisfaction. There's a common theme within the questions, the area of cost, questions that border on strategy, on the structure of the holdco and its future. You want answers? I'll cede the answers to the man who will give you those answers granularly. We know he has a backache, but as usual, we will call upon him to serve us. I hand over to the Group Managing Director, Dr. Herbert Wigwe. Do you want him to stand? I think.
No, I'm okay.
How about
I
the
don't want
sense?
people to say that I can't do my work. Lest I be accused of not being able to do my work. Fellow shareholders, first of all, let me say I am extremely excited to be with all of you physically after not seeing you all for 3 years. Governance is very important to us in Access Bank. And irrespective of how many shares you own, it is your company. And we must be held accountable for the stewardship that we render. And so today, yes, it's an ordinary statutory meeting, but it's also a day for us to speak to you and share with you where your company is headed. I know that we would have a proper meeting when we come to the end of our financial year at the first quarter of next year, where we would have a much more elaborate meeting. But today also provides an opportunity to speak to most of you. And I'll be speaking to some of the questions that have been raised by Dr. Farouk. Thank you very much. Mrs. Top, Boniface Okezie, BC Bakare, and of course, my senior brother, Sir Sonny Wosu. Let me just take you back a little. When we said we're going to set up a holding company, or we're going to evolve into a holding company, there were several reasons. And the first was that, in line with what is happening in the Western world and best practice, as you find the banking subsidiary growing to 15 to 16 to 20 countries, etc., you need a holding company that will provide additional oversight over the entire banking institution. No one managing director can say he's responsible for 22 countries, or for 50 countries, or for 100 countries. You can go and see how Citibank has been modeled. So that was the first one. But the second is the fact that, at least in Nigeria, it allows us to start doing a few other things that under the narrow banking regulation, we're not able to do. So we now have been able to set up a proper PFA business, all right? And we've basically exited our custodian business, which we found to be less profitable and not attuned to our strategy like the PFA business, given our large customer base. Your bank, which is the fulcrum today, has about 60 million customers. And when we, thank you, and that represents, honestly, the largest bank in the continent from a customer base standpoint. Now, when you understand what pensions can do and where the Nigerian Pensions Commission is going in terms of micro pensions, you then begin to see the strong alignment with our PFA business and the bank. And our view is that our PFA business shall, over the next couple of years, become the leading PFA business in the country, certainly. We shared with you the fact that we wanted to be known as Africa's gateway to the world. And what that meant was that we're going to be responsible for payments across the entire continent, irrespective of where you are and where you're transferring money from. We're going to support intra-African trade, which is a big problem today, partnering with some DFIs that are very close to us. And so we've set up a company called Hydrogen. Now, Hydrogen is going to be supporting all of this payments business that we will be doing. Now, you can ask the question, can the bank not have done it on its own? I don't think so. These are very specialist skills. And it will allow us to be able to ensure that there are settlements even in countries where we don't even have a physical presence. And the idea is that wherever you are in the world, if you're making a transfer to anybody across the continent, 1 out of every 3 transactions that come into this continent will be settled on Access Bank's platform. That speaks to Boniface Okezie's question. Now, all of these things we are speaking about will generate fees, commissions and fees, and are not things that lead to significant increase in credit risk. They do have operational risks, obviously, but we do have a strong compliance process and technology platform, which we're enhancing to ensure that the operational risks will be significantly mitigated. But that's not all. If you go to the Western world, given the changing demographics, Nigeria has about 65% of its population less than 40. In fact, actually, less than 35. Now, most of these young people don't want to be going to banks. And so you have in the UK, for instance, challenger banks. You have new banks that have much lighter technology that will ensure that they follow an ecosystem approach in trying to resolve the lifestyle issues of most of our young people. So we will be setting up a lending business that will address most young people, whether they're 18 years old or 15 years old, etc., all right, to make sure that we support greater financial inclusion, greater financial deepening, and addressing the lifestyle of all of those people. You see it internationally, so the likes of Monzo, etc., you will see it in Access, and of course, very shortly, it will be launched, and you will know it by its name when it is launched. We have an insurance brokerage business that is coming on, partnering with several institutions that are close to us, Coronation and the rest. Access Insurance shall be handling our brokerage business, providing specialist skills to make sure that our risks are priced properly. Now, all of these verticals in themselves will add significant income, commissions and fees to the bottom line of the parent, which will be Access Corporation. But that's not all. The banking group on its own will continue to grow. We're extremely proud of what we're doing in the UK. Today, we now have a fresh license in France, and this was approved less than 2 weeks ago. We will continue to spread across Europe, certainly, all right, to make sure that at the end of the day, perhaps when we look 10 years further from now, we would have created a very strong, diversified entity, all right, not just relying on Nigeria or on Africa, but having a broad, diversified income base with good quality earnings coming from countries where the inflation rates are less than that of our country, and therefore making us a much, much stronger franchise than any other financial institution in the continent. To some people, it may sound highfalutin, but let me just share with you, for those who have been here with us for 20 years, certainly Sir Soniwoso has been here, Dr. Farouk has been here, Boniface Ukezi has been here, BC Bakare, several of you. When we shared this story 20 years ago, people said it's not possible. How will you become the largest financial institution in Nigeria? How will you become the top 5 at that time? How will you become the top 10? But today it's true, and it's not something to brag about, but it is true. But we have a long way to go. If Nigeria must take its pride of place in the continent, we must have strong, reliable financial institutions. And so the very actions of nation building that we continue to pursue are those that will serve to ensure that we have one strong country, a country where all of us are patriotic and we are pursuing one goal. How do we make Nigeria the strongest and the leading country within the continent? So we are often criticized as well of the returns to shareholders. Let me quickly add that we continue to improve year in, year out. But one of the things that is critical to us is that we must make sure that we have an institution that outlives each and every one of us. So when you see us retaining earnings and not paying it out as dividends, it's because sometimes we're infinitely paranoid of how the future is unfolding. And I'm not just talking about Nigeria, I'm talking about across the world. The growing geopolitical pressures that we see, whether it's Russia and Ukraine, or it is the high inflationary environment we see across the world, will seep into our country, will seep into everywhere. And it is banks that are strong that will stand those winds when they come. So we will continue to pay dividends in line with our dividend payment policy, but also retain significant income to continue to ensure that we have a fortress balance sheet to take us as we move on to the future. But the commitment I make is that in terms of payouts and dividends, you will continue to see it improve as we move on. We paid a modest 20 kobo at year end. I'm sure that our final dividend will be better, and better than it was last year. We have come to the end of our 5-year corporate strategic plan, 2017 to 2022. We are wrapping up the numbers, and of course, obviously, following appropriate governance, we will take it to our board. And I believe that we will make a presentation to various stakeholders, yourselves inclusive, perhaps before this year runs out, or if not, definitely in January 2023. We've always done this. We did it when we're getting into this last 5-year corporate strategic plan. In line with best practice, we will do it yet again. I know and I think we're the only institution, banking institution that does it in this country. We hope that others will follow us so that you actually see where we're headed in the next 5 years. But let me just say it even before then. You will be extremely proud of the nature of institution that you are building with us, because every shareholder here has supported us through the most difficult times when we've had to raise capital. It's okay for us to sit down today, but if we remember when capital was raised from 2 billion to 25 billion, you all stood by us. So it is important we share with you that we will be responsible to make sure that nobody holding Access Bank shares will ever be poorer for it. All of that we'll do at the end of the year. And I do hope that as we continue to share with our investing public, that people will see more value in Access Bank shares, and they will understand perhaps one of our failures is how we've communicated, and we will communicate in clearer terms where we are heading, and so that people can see and determine the appropriate value of our stock. Once again, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Group Chief Executive. I'm sure he has addressed all concerns, questions, and more, as is usual. So, coming to the main matter of the day, which is the adoption of the corporation's statutory report. We're going to vote on the adoption of the corporation's statutory report by simple majority on show of hands. To facilitate the voting process, I will move the motion to support the statutory report and invite a seconder from the floor. The seconder is kindly requested to state his or her name to enable the secretary take note. Having said, I've not moved. No, I thought I was seeing questions. Is that a question? We'll get there. We'll get there very soon. We'll get there. Let me get out of the way. So I hereby move that the statutory report of Access Holdings PLC, issued in November 2022 and presented to this meeting, be and is hereby adopted. Will someone please second this motion? The lady at the back. She's been very emphatic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Alaja Sarata Iyabode Balogun. I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much. Will those in favor of the resolution please indicate by show of hands? We'll know soon. Thank you very much. Those against the resolution, please indicate by show of hands. Okay, thank you very much. Based on the outcome of voting as observed by myself, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Based on the outcome, I beg your pardon, now that we have that resolution, esteemed shareholders, this brings us to the end of the formal business for this meeting. However, I hereby crave your indulgence to remain on your seats for a short briefing by the registrars on some important information regarding your shareholding in the company.
Good day, Mr. Chairman, members of the High Table, and our esteemed shareholders. My name is Chiamaka Ugobidike. I'm the head of customer experience, Coronation Registrars, the registrar to Access Holding PLC. As the number of unclaimed dividend continues to rise in the Nigerian capital markets, a lot of efforts are in place to reduce unclaimed dividends. And as your registrar, we have put systems in place to ensure that everybody gets their dividend paid at when due. But we found out that a lot of accounts are not mandated, and so we are unable to pay your dividends. So this is a call to all investors to please mandate your account, mandate your bank account to your shares account so that your dividends can be paid. And how do we do that? You can walk into any bank in Nigeria and demand to fill the e-mandate form. You can also go to any branch of Access Bank. And as your registrar, we have also made it very easy. You don't need to leave the comfort of your house to fill your e-mandate form. You can do that online. Go to our website, www.coronationregistrars.com, and then you fill out those forms. We'll respond to them, and your dividend will be paid into your account. It's worthy to note that we can only hold your dividend for as long as we can, in line with regulatory requirements. After some period of years, they are returned back to the company. And after 12 years, you are unable to claim your dividend. We don't want you to have that experience, so please mandate your account so that you can get your dividend. Also inform as many as you know that are investors to come forward and mandate your account. And beside that, we also pass information from time to time from your company, and we are unable to reach many of us because we do not have your phone numbers, we do not have your email addresses. So please, our team is still at the accreditation point. Before you leave here, if you have changed your phone numbers, your emails, if we don't have them in our records, please meet with them. We'll get those information from you so that anytime we have information to pass across, you can get them. And another thing we have done to enable you manage your shareholding from the comfort of your home, we have a digital platform we call the Shareholder Life. We have a stand outside this auditorium where you can easily sign on. It's very easy to use. You can see your statements. You can see if you have unclaimed dividend. You can even send letters to embassy, as a proof of fund of your shareholding. So please, let's leverage all these platforms that we have made available to you. And once again, we give our commitments to serve you as your registrar. Our offices are always open. Our contact center lines are also open to attend to your needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As our stewardship to you, we are strongly concerned that maximum benefits accrues to you. So please follow up on all the advice given by our registrars. Thank you very much. This concludes the business of this meeting. I thank you for attending this meeting, which I now declare closed. And in closing this meeting, I call upon Dr. Farouk Umar to kindly say the closing prayer.
Thank you, Chairman. Before saying the closing prayer, since regulators are here, I want to correct one information given by the registrars. The president of the country has signed a finance act, and with that act, no shareholder will have his dividend ending after 12 years. It is perpetual. Even after 100 years, you will be able to get your dividend with interest. So I just want to make that point. We thank God for this successful meeting, and we thank God for giving us the kind of leadership we have in Access Bank. We pray to God to continue guiding you, our chairman, our CEO, Herbert, directors, management and staff of Access Bank. We pray to God to make Access Bank move as fast as possible, and we believe the methods and this trajectory being put by Access Bank will add value to shareholders. We thank you, Access Bank, for having a physical meeting rather than virtual, and we pray to God to give us peace and stability in this country. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Our esteemed shareholders, please on your way out, pick up your food at the last tent.